fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
All right, welcome back to Wind Tunnel TV. Tonight, it's the RGR Winston Xfinity Series here live from Chicagoland, the Chicagoland 160. A little bit of fog over the track or some heat haze or something going on out there. Very interesting look down on the track. I'm Dean Doucette, joined as always by Mr. Jared Carr and tonight's special guest broadcaster, Justin Warner. Jared, always interesting here at Chicagoland. Kind of like it. You can see, a little 2 and 3 wide action here at certain points in the race.
Yeah, this track is very, very good. I mean, you got a lot of multiple lines, but the thing about this track, Dean, it is progressive, and we're getting a really cold track coming in here tonight, and like you're talking about, pretty foggy conditions, I guess, as far as the look of it is, and I expect the high line to really become dominant as this race goes on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Jared, that you bring that up because, in practice, I ran some practice myself last night, and the high line can work, but, the car is going to get very loose out here, and I kind of like staying on the low line. We bring Justin in on this. Justin, I mean, the rear tires are wearing out. The car is getting a little loose. What can these guys do to mitigate that kind of condition?
Well, coming off the turn 4, you can really get a lot of heat generated off those tires, and especially the rear tires. So I'd say just kind of keep it up to the high line, try to drive it off easy. You're going to see a lot of cooler temperatures on the track, with especially throughout the track, with it being foggy and overcast. You're going to have a lot grippier cars. You might end up wearing out that rear tire a bit more. Even the front tires, getting more push off the corner and even getting loose in the long run. So it's just more so a drive, race of attrition, really, with trying to maintain and mitigate some of the handling.
I gotta say, the experts here in the room are against me here tonight. We'll see how this plays out. That's nothing new, is it, Jared?
No, it's quite the norm, actually, right?
It is. I like to butt heads with the experts, on all counts in life. But nonetheless, I trust both Jared and Justin here. So expect someone to take to the high side. That's probably advantage. Beller, maybe someone like that. There's a couple other guys that kind of run up there. Maybe Adam Recker here tonight. Be interesting to see who goes up there and when they decide to do so. Let's see if we can bring up our championship standings here. It doesn't look like we can quite yet. So, Justin, do you got any Jared, do you have any favorites here tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to look at the guys that have done good on the Speedway races this year, right, Dean? We talked a lot last couple of weeks about analytics and things like that in the league, and I'm looking at a guy. Again, it's hard to bet against Greg Ratliff, but here's a guy out here tonight, Dean, that we talked about him at the beginning of the year, and he kind of went away for a little bit, wasn't able to race for a few weeks there due to his deployment. I'm looking at Lance Ripka tonight, Dean.
All right, Lance. I mean, buckshot champion, right? So, he has a little bit of rust to knock off, and we'll see if he's already knocked off that. That's a hell of a pick, there's no doubt. Justin, we won't ask you for a pick not knowing these guys, but, we'll look to see if your thing comes in with a little bit of high line action in. But let's get into tonight's starting grid here for the Chicago 160. It is Greg Ratliff out front. He'll be dangerous starting on the point. The number 5 has a time of 30.563. It's Darren Bruce with a good starting spot on the outside of row number 1. Claus Williams will start third. Look for Claus to hit to that high line. Adam Recker will start on the outside of row 2. Row 3 will feature William Gay and George Leal. You've got Buckshot Ripka along with Beller in row 4. It's Jason Ratliff and Jason Spear in row 5. Paul K. Travis and Bernard Purse will be 11th and 12th. Then you got Martin Newton. You got Otto Viani, Gilly, Toadman Gilly, Tony Ratliff, Tom Lester. You got Michael Walker, Preston O'Brien, Musial, Hunt, Knight, Maurer, Hartwick, Kulikowski, Williams, and Bray. As I fumble around a little bit with my settings here, guys.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting race to see how these guys can kind of work this racetrack in, especially as the racetrack gets colder. I mean, you look at the weather, Dean, we're actually getting, this is actually light fog right now. It looks like we're actually going to get foggier as this race goes on, so hopefully we'll be able to see actually what's going on the track here tonight.
Yeah, very interesting here to see the fog take over the track. It's interesting to see if it affects these cars at all. We're about ready to go green flag racing. Ratliff and Bruce up front. I like this battle to heat up right off the start, Justin. You think these guys got to take to it quick? Actually, let's wait while we go green here. Pace car pulling off.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag down and away. A very orderly start up front here. Bruce, pretty good job hanging on the outside. Justin, do you think they got to take something early here?
That's a good chance. I think that they're going to really take to it here in the next couple of laps, especially they're having a pretty good sticky track right off the first lap here. I think we're going to see some pretty good battles.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if you're going to get some, it's kind of get it early out here, but then you got the other side of it, Jared, where you don't want to burn your stuff up either, do you?
No, you don't. That outside line can definitely burn up those rear tires as this race goes on. But Darren Bruce doing a great job on the outside, fighting back against Ratliff. He's going to go up to the wall. I like that move. He's going to slide by Ratliff on the high side already, Dean.
Yeah, and this is something you can do. Now, I did notice this in practice. The high line, you can get that speed. It kind of fades. It's kind of the opposite of what it used to be. You used to ride the bottom for 10 or 15 and kind of work your way up top. Here now, it's almost like the high line faster early on, Jared. Is there any reality to that, or is that just me?
Well, without running the setup, the fix-up at least, I can tell you that in the open setup when we ran this track, we're running this track in a couple weeks. We ran it, about 3 months ago as well. The racetrack, we wanted to stay on the bottom as long as we possibly could. But around lap 15 to lap 20, we started moving up and testing the grooves. And those grooves were pretty good. And some cars worked better on the high side as the run went on. Some guys had to migrate back down to the bottom. But basically, if you're too loose to run the bottom too tight to run the bottom, you're going to have to move up. You're going to have to use that wall and use those aero effects to kind of help that car steer off the corner, Dean. And right now, I mean, I watched Darren Bruce run Chicagoland the last time the Xfinity Series, iRacing Series was there. He was very good. So, I think that he is also a very solid pick for tonight's race.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's out there leading now. I'm a little scared he's gone out a little too hard, too fast from what I've seen in practice. I mean, where is a real thing? That car
we got 3 wide.
A real thing. We got all kinds of action back here in the back. Yeah, Jason Ratliff trying to get underneath of William Gay there.
They're still 3 wide here. There they go in the corner, Dean. I think that is the 77 machine. And it looks, 3 wide, it generates excitement. We got 3 wide off of turn 4 as well. That's Jason Ratliff on the bottom there. It is. So we got 3 wide all over the place, and this track can run 3 wide all over. Bernard Persson just behind this battle as well. That middle groove, I do like that middle groove. You kind of hold that guy on the bottom down, and makes it really difficult for them to get the run off the corner.
Yeah, well, that brings up an interesting point, is that, practice, you kind of use the whole track. You get a feel for what the car could do. Race a little bit different here, Justin. How much do these guys have to adjust the way they drive once they get in traffic like this?
Well, it's kind of hard to say, but as far as adjustment for traffic, you just have to take your time, be patient. And something that we could see Bernard Persson being able to do, he's a patient driver. He's pretty consistent, and he could make his way through the field pretty good. just through the ability to adapt to the different situations. And I think we can see as we watch him race, we'll probably pick up on a little bit of that. As far as being able to adapt to the line, I think as time goes on, the race line sets in. We're definitely going to see some people struggling with their setups, probably tightening up a little bit. It's just per racer, you're going to see people fall back. You're going to see people that are a bit more patient, maybe being able to work their way up. So it's just a waiting game on this one.
It absolutely is. Someone playing that waiting game right now, Mr. Adam Newton in the 2. He is behind. A hard-fought battle there between Corey Martin and Paul K. Travis as they battle it out. Now, we've seen Person kind of in this situation. You were talking about him a few laps ago. Jared, now Adam back here. You really do got to show patience. I mean, you can't put the car where there's no hole, can you?
No, and I think the big thing with Adam is, he's had a resurgence over the last couple of weeks where he's really shown that patience, and he needs to keep that in his mind here as he's working this traffic. Just be patient and work your way around, because right now you are saving tire, and the more tire you can save, the better you are going to be on the long run. As you see the 34 car slide up, barely give Newton a little bit of room there on the back straightaway, and Dean, I think that Adam is going to be a guy to watch if he can hold his aggression back here in this race.
You can see the fog settling in. Also, guys slowly settling into their lines here. You look back, still some battles around Nate Maurer. He is in contention there with Zach Hartwick, Rachel Hunt's in this mix. A whole slew of vehicles in here. A gaggle, if you will, Jared.
Yeah, there's been a lot of gaggles here tonight. I mean, it has been a competitive race, and you watch these guys work in different lines, even when they're single file. I mean, Rachel Hunt's running, down like a late apex, running down to the middle of the track, middle of the corner, and then exiting off the corner. Whereas some guys enter low, some guys are entering on the higher line, but coming down to the middle of the track. So a lot of different ways you can attack this track, and while you're single file.
Right now we hop on board with the 45, Preston O'Brien. He rides right behind Rachel Hunt and Eric Whiting down there, and we've seen some great finishes out of Eric in recent races. So this is interesting here. What are you seeing here, Jared, when you watch Preston O'Brien? I mean, it doesn't look like we're seeing a whole lot of wheel movement or anything else.
Yeah, Preston is doing a pretty good job. I think this is his first Xfinity race anyway, and you can look at the car, and he's really just being smooth on the wheel, and just a little bit of a offset issue there on the straightaway. But he turns in a little bit late, and he's getting right to that middle groove. Get those left side tires on the seam, and that's a big thing at this track. No matter what line you're running at, Dean, use that seam. There's one on the bottom groove. There's one on the top groove. If you can use those seams, get your left sides planted or your right sides planted on those seams, it'll change the handling of that car, Dean.
Yeah, the seam's always vastly important, there's no doubt. As this race goes on, we look for cars to switch. Right now, though, Darren Bruce out to electrifying start. He's opened up a 1 second gap to Mr. Greg Ratliff. Here comes Wrecker with Klaus Williams. A couple of guys I mentioned in the pre-race might like this track, and you see already it looks like the 16 of Williams moving. And he's loose. Underneath him comes Bernard Person, so that's the key. I mean, if you ride the high side, Justin, this is the thing that you got to be wary of. That car could break loose on you.
Oh, definitely, and you'll definitely see a theme going along for those that ride the high line. Over time, you will start to wear out that rear tire, and it'll heat up on you, and you'll start to get loose. On the contrary, riding the low line, you'll start to get a push loose effect, especially later on in your run, and that's something these guys are going to have to be aware of.
Yeah, no doubt. This track here tonight, there's speed out there to be had early on, but managing the car is going to be pretty important. Someone you brought up, Lance Ripka, he has moved up 4 spots here, Jared.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised, right? I mean, he has been on the move, and Dean, you look at his statistics throughout the year. I mean, he hasn't raced too much lately. I mean, until a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, he's been gone and doing all kinds of stuff there, but he is extremely good on these type of tracks, Dean, and that's something I look at. And the last time we were at a speedway type track, like this, was back at Nashville a couple weeks ago, and he actually started at the rear of the field and ended up finishing in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I mean, he's going to let people know sooner or later, hey, I'm the champ here. Don't forget about me. He was busy being deployed, serving his country, so a big salute to the 52 Buckshot Rivka out there. Right now, I'm seeing Bruce's lead starting to come down just by a hair. You got Greg Ratliff and Lance Ripka currently chasing. Scary guys to have chasing you down. Notorious long run guys here. I think we're in for one heck of a race here tonight, Jared.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big thing that Darren has to keep in mind is don't be afraid to move around the track, right? If you like your line and you're doing good in that line, but if somebody's making a move, I mean, obviously these guys, there's nobody like watching the race for them and telling them where other guys are running for the most part. There's not a real good way to get that information. But the thing you got to think of is if a guy has gained on me, maybe jump to the high side. If you're running the low side, just see what that car will do up there and see if you can grab some momentum running a different line.
There's another guy to bring up, William Gay in the 44 down underneath Otto Viani. So the William Gay back on the track. It's good to see him return out here, Jared.
Absolutely. I mean, took a few weeks off and back out here running in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, doing a great job. Right behind them, Beller and Martin going at it a little bit. You got the Toad Man back in 15th. Maurer and Spear, a couple of excellent long-run drivers. And I ran against Spear last night. I got to tell you, he looked good. The problem, he's down 8 spots. Now, what do we think that was going on here? Are we looking at someone trying to do, say, 53, 54 laps and make it a one-stopper?
I think that's ambitious.
It's very ambitious.
I can't imagine that strategy would work because that's 54, 55 laps is a lot even on 100% gas, Dean. I mean, you're talking, if I remember correctly, without, digging in my notes, I believe that we were able to do about 62 when we were in Chicago.
It doesn't seem possible, does it?
So that's going to be pushing it to go to 55.
Yeah, I agree, but I got to tell you, he was very good in practice. I'm a little surprised that he's fallen back. Not that he's fallen back per se, but we're on lap 22. If this is a two-stopper, we're looking at under 40 laps per run. So, pit stops not that far away. The move has to be made sooner than later. Up front, Darren Bruce now down to 0.7. We bring up our time delta here from Bruce back to Ratliff, and you can see Justin, a very consistent chart there. The steps coming down as Ratliff is hunting down our leader.
Dean, I'm watching this, and there's not a lot of guys running that high side. I mean, you have to go back to Paul K. Travis and Adam Newton run that high side. I think Darren Bruce, somebody's got to get in his ear and be like, hey, man, you're losing time. Maybe try running up high.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, the high line can pick up speed, right? So what I was doing in practice, for instance, as we look in on record behind Ripke here, record looking good, is when I really wanted to run someone down, Jared, I would just rip that high line, even if it was just in one corner, just to get that big run on them and kind of suck up to them.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I know Darren how he's racing. I know what he is doing, and that is he's doing the strategy of running the bottom as long as you can, then move up. But if somebody's starting to eat into my time, I mean, you had a 1.3 second lead at one point in time, maybe 1.2. Move up. You got to try something different. You don't want these guys to come up on the back end of you, and then you're on the back foot.
So scary to make the changes. We're not seeing anybody really ripping the high yet. There's probably someone out here. Look in on George Leal, currently in 7th. George has been a heck of a competitor out here in this series. He's down 1 spot. Like I say, these runs aren't going to be that long. I'm not sure if we got Justin back yet, though. But Justin, we're getting down to it. Is there something these guys can kind of do to pull up here in these last 10 laps of this run?
Well, they might have to just bide their time, try to make it to the next pit stop so they can get some fresh tires. It's real hard to say this early on, but hopefully that they can adjust their strategies accordingly and make some adjustments with their driving, and hopefully make their way back up front.
See Paul K. Travis here, a little bit up the track, fighting it now, Jared. That loose condition starting to build into these cars.
Yeah, and you're talking about Paul K. Darren Bruce has moved up the track in 3 and 4 at least. Let's see what he does here in 1 and 2. But that last lap at the line, he did a 2:31. Ratliff is doing an 0:20. So Bruce is moving up the track. He's realized it, but I think he's just realized it a little bit too late. And I think that car has kind of gone away from him.
Well, I think he's doing what he's saying. Like you said, maybe a little late, but he's trying to protect here. And at this point in the run, how hard is it, Jared, to pass someone on that low side when this guy on the high side's got this great momentum?
It's hard. It's not as hard at Chicagoland as some tracks like last week when we raced in Nashville. That track is extremely difficult to pass on the bottom. Chicago is actually not too bad because of the progressive banking, but you could still hold somebody off if you run the middle line, kind of pinch them off the corner there. So I think that Darren, everybody's kind of rushed up to Darren. I mean, but the thing is when you get to him, you're going to start getting tighter and tighter, right? And that's going to be the key. Can these guys overcome that tight condition and try to make a move on Darren?
And we have 4 guys now all together as we approach that pit stop area. You got Person just a hair off, and Claus Williams as well in it. Leal starting to assert himself a little bit. And then you go a little further back, it's Travis, Tony Ratliff, Newton, and Beller in a group here.
I mean, we're getting down to, let's see, 7 cars, 2.1 seconds back. Dean, George Leal, the last guy in this group, and they're all really running the top, the really competitive times with each other. But right now, the top 3 are under a blanket, and Wrecker is kind of sitting just behind it. Ratliff might look for a move here, Dean, off turn 2. He's kind of get the nose down there into turn 3.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for the lead here, and I don't think Bruce is thinking about putting up a whole lot of a fight here. You can see he's going to easily be cleared. Ripka also trying to follow through, so here late in the run, this patient strategy has paid off. Now we're looking at pit stops, and these front 2 are positioned a little better than they were just moments ago.
Yeah, I gotta say I'm a little surprised, to be honest, Dean.
I'm going to throw something out to Justin here in the booth, a little challenge almost of the I like to test people out here. The pit strategy, though, at a track like this, Justin, with kind of what we've seen through this long run here, short pit or long pit, which do you prefer?
Well, it really depends on where you're at in the field and how well you think you could actually get back up to the front. But you're dealing with a lot of other people, so it's real hard to say what everybody else is doing, so you really have to feel it out. In some cases, you might have to go with an extra pit stop just to try and gain that extra time through those fresh tires, so that way you could hope for a yellow and maybe stay out, maybe pick up a couple extra laps if you're that far back.
Well, Jared, I put the same thing to you. I mean, I think you genuinely like the short pit. I'll preface it by saying I'm going long here tonight.
I'm a big fan of the overcut in most situations, but I think the undercut can play off really well at some tracks like Nashville where it's really difficult to pass. At Chicago, I would stay out I would make the move when it was feasible to do so, right? So if you want to split this race up correctly and make sure you have the right laps on the right side of you don't want to end, basically what I'm saying is after the second stop, you don't want to have 30 laps left to race. You want to have a little bit more than that, let the car kind of feel out.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be really dependent on what these guys do here.
It is. It's always a tough call. The one thing I'll say is that there seems to be a fairly consistent drop-off. When I see that situation, I tend to go long. And here we go. Bruce is in. Person is in. Williams is in. Williams closing right up on Person. Great entrance there for him. Maurer, Ottaviani, Spear, all coming in. So, some of our front runners and some others in, but our 2 leaders remain on the track. Let's hop on board with our leader, Mr. Greg Ratliff, and see if he comes in here. Looks like no entrance for him or Ripka. Wrecker does come in from 3rd, so he'll hit pit road. Very interesting.
If I'm Ratliff and Ripka, I would bet you want to cut. This is what I was saying earlier. You've got to cover off the guys that pitted at the same time. You can't I like the overcut, but you can't let these guys be out too far, and you have to chase them down. So I would say in the next 2 laps, Ratliff and Ripka are going to come in here.
I just don't know, Jared. I mean, you're probably right, and here you are. Greg Ratliff coming in. So Ratliff's going to cover him off. I think anything works here. 1 lap's better than 0, and 2's better than 1. I think it's all in play, and I think we're going to have a wide variety. As you see, pit road quite busy right now. Ripka, your leader, still out there, still turning laps. He's got clear track. He might stay out a little longer yet.
Yeah, it's about 8 seconds back to Zach Hartwick. He's coming in.
Yeah.
And that's a slow entry already.
Well, it's slow then fast. That's something I do. I come in too early and let the car roll too far. Good job by him of not breaking loose there, but it looked like he might. Zach Hartwick takes over the lead here. It'll be Ricky Williams in 2nd, Bray, Dibble, Whiting, and then back to Greg Ratliff, who does. Or actually, Bruce goes by him. Ratliff coming off a pit road. So there you go. There's your difference. Greg is going to lose, 3, 4, 5 spots here. He'll have work to do. Justin, do you think that... Go ahead. Justin, do you think this is a mistake by Greg Ratliff?
I'm not really sure, but I could say this. Some of the guys in the back are definitely in that pondering state of whether to stay out a little bit longer, hoping for a yellow, or go in early and hoping to gain some ground off some fresh tires. So it could play for you, it could play in for you, or it can go against you, just depending on how the cards are dealt.
Well, the one thing about this league is praying for a yellow. I mean, that's like praying to win $1 million. It's just not going to happen, Jared.
Yeah, I mean,
it might, but
I've seen it happen. So I mean, I've been burned by that. Some guys make it, stay out long, and the caution comes out, and all of a sudden they're in a better spot than I am. I've run top 5 all night and come out 17th because of that. So, I like the situation. If you're Ricky Williams and James Bray, stay out as long as you can, and just see where the cards fall. I mean, I don't think they have more than about 5 laps left that they can do, but you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always love this, right? You're talking about guys who are at plus 26 position-wise. They have a 22-second lead on Darren Bruce, who's currently in 3rd. Ricky Williams just comes in. So it's Bray alone. I mean, you got to run it dry and pray for that caution. I think Justin was right on that. Oh, and you see there, he's a little bit loose coming off the corner. That car getting a little violent on him. And this is where you get in trouble. I mean, Justin, you get guys coming through here, you might not be able to get to pit road. We'll move that over to you, Jared.
Yeah, I think Bray's going to be able to get in a spot here and get himself in, but he looks like he's running the high line in 1 and 2. It'll be interesting to see if he comes in this lap, because otherwise he's really running this thing long.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's on the verge of running out of gas. He's got to come in here, and he's, like I said before, he's got to be cognizant of the track. And here he comes. He is. Pretty good entrance there.
That's
that's a little too good, I think.
That looked speedy.
That looked a little speedy there for sure. I mean, it was a great effort coming in on that arc off the high side. I like that, but it looked at just a little too much. And you can see
We'll find
just
out,
how dark it is here tonight. What is going on?
Yeah, that fog is kind of a lot here tonight. It kind of makes it a little bit hard to see the darker cars. The white cars are pretty easy to see. The brighter cars are anyway. But Dean, looking at this race, how it's transpired. I mean, Bernard Person, he is one of our big movers of this race. Up 10 spots through that pit cycle right now, Dean, and he is closing on Darren Bruce ever so slightly.
Yeah, this is interesting for sure. And just to be clear, I don't believe this is much of a short pit. Lap 35, right?
They both pitted at the same time, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, both guys pitted at the same time. You got Williams pitted at the same time. He's in third. But here comes, you got Wrecker up there. He was one lap later. And then you got Ripka and Ratliff, who were already ran down the leader last time from a couple seconds back. Now they got 3-4 lap fresher tires. Wow. I mean, Justin, I think our leader might be in trouble here.
Well, I think... Oh, go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, definitely. I think he's definitely going to be in trouble. And as for the long run, I think Bernie might have a good strategy going on, seeing how he managed to actually gain quite a few spots, and especially a couple extra spots during the pit stop. So I think we're going to see some good challenge for the leader.
Well, definitely Bernie now up there challenging these other guys, though. I mean, it's going to be for Ripka and Ratliff, it's going to be about how do they get through this traffic. Right now, Wrecker is proven to be a tough pass, and this is the problem, isn't it, Jared? When you do that overcut, you got to come through some guys, and you got to get a little bit of luck on how you catch them and how quickly you can pass them.
You do, but one thing I wanted to point out earlier is Ripka pitted a lap after Greg Ratliff. He was the last of the leaders to come on pit road, actually the last guy aside from Hartwick and Williams and Bray to come on pit road. So he is already ahead of Greg Ratliff. So he is already in the catbird seat in controlling this race. Like, he may not get back to the lead before they pit again. I think he will. But he's already got the guy that he was chasing down, Greg Ratliff, behind him, and he's pulling that gap more and more every lap.
Yeah. My only concern, Justin, is it a mistake? Is Ripka maybe putting the power down? We know how cagey Greg Ratliff is. They're both kind of cagey, but Ripka kind of doing a little bit more speed here this time around. Is this a mistake?
It could be for the long run. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, especially as the time goes on, I think the tracks are going to cool off a little bit more, and you're going to see a tighter car, and that might be trouble for some people that need or expecting the car to be more loose, and it could cause them to just fall back a little bit more. So I think he's just going to have to be more patient with it.
All right, and here's our battle for the lead. Person and Bruce up here. I don't know if they're battling or working together. I think these hardcore racers, they're probably battling. And Ripka now only 0.9 seconds behind Bernard Person. We're on lap 50 of 107. This is big trouble for our two leaders as they look at that, the old shark music. Dun-dun, dun-dun. He's coming, Jared.
Yeah, Ripka's doing a great job, but the thing that I'm looking at is this track map, Dean. There are cars pretty much all over this track right now, and you can see it right now. You got Stevie Knight, you got Eric Whiting. They're within 2 seconds of our leaders, and then you have Darrell Spear, another 4.8 or so ahead of these guys. So they're going to have some lap traffic to deal with, and that's going to slow them up. Whether the lap traffic moves out of the way or fights them, it's still going to slow them up just a little bit, just trying to adjust their lines and things like that. And Bernard Person trying to pounce here, Dean. Going to go up through the middle, decides against it.
Wow.
Oh, and Stevie Knight kind of pinched down there.
Well, I don't know if Bruce kind of went up a little bit too. Maybe closed that door on him. Very, very scary there. Rachel Hunt hits the pit road. This might be an unscheduled stop for the one. Unfortunate to see that. And you see, there's Ripka closing on in. So this is about to be a 3-car battle, and I don't know. It might be a 1-car battle before too long. There's Ratliff. He's still right in it. He looks like he's coming back on Ripka ever so slightly. Don't count out Adam Recker. I mean, Recker is in here, and he's put himself up here, Jared, lately. He is in with these guys. But the one thing you find is once you're racing the top 5, it's consistently frustrating because they're all so good.
Yeah, he was on the verge of a win last week, Dean, and just couldn't quite close down, finish that off. And looking for his first win on the season, so who knows, he might be able to get one tonight. But he's going to have a tough work ahead of him as Rachel Hunt has retired from the race. But the other thing I was, looking at, Dean, is, this has been, and you see Ripka, he's going to make a move here. But this race has been really interesting to see how it's played out, and I like like I said earlier, I like the overcut here tonight, Dean, and Ripka's really showing that the overcut is working.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to agree here. Ripka's showing it. I mean, pit stop still probably 15 laps away at minimum. So you're going to see Ripka get out here. Don't forget about Ratliff. He's going to get up there. I think you're going to see Recker possibly. Now, Recker's on the same tires as Bruce in person, I do believe. So we'll see how that plays out. How about George Leal? In that new paint that he has, Jared, he kind of sneaks up on us now. We don't recognize him out here, but he's always around these races late.
He is, and I'll tell you another guy that's done a great job, Nathan Maurer. Started 23rd. He's up into the top 10 right now. He's right on the back of Paul K. Travis. So he has actually gained the most spots in this race so far tonight. So good job for him.
Yeah, always love the way Nate Maurer gets around these tracks, races very clean, long run guy, and many of them are in here. See Jason Ratliff right behind him. Where's William Gay? Jason Spears seems to have made up some spots through pitting. You remember earlier in the race, we were showing him down 8. He's now down 3 spots, so amping up the aggression a little bit. The 83 is starting to come forward.
Dean, a guy that we talk about, and I'm kind of surprised, he is one of the top 5 in driver rating in this league on, speedway-type tracks, and that is Eric Beller. Nowhere to be found here tonight. Running back in the back, 18th position, Dean. I don't have any indication he was involved in a wreck or got any damage. He's just maybe not jiving with this track tonight.
It's a little bit of a surprise, right? Because we talk about a highline track. Justin, when you got guys who kind of known for running highline, what can make it a little bit of an adverse reaction to this track? You think it might suit him. It doesn't seem like he's up there on the wall, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things, you can, since there's multiple lines, you run up the high line and you get so used to being up there, and you get around some cars. Sometimes, you see them go by, you see how fast they could be on the bottom. You try to work your way around. You try a couple different lines. It being up there, it could get a little loose. It could get a little hairy. I'm not really sure.
That might be it, Justin. I mean, normally, he rides a high line on a lot of tracks where other guys won't. The car probably very stable. He really rips a wall. Here tonight, Jared, you get up there and that car will get unstable on you.
Yeah, well, but the thing is looking back at his previous races, Dean, as Lance Ripka has gone by Darren Bruce and taken this lead, he ran second place at Kansas, which is a highline track. He made the highline work at Dover. He ran at Auto Club, ran second. I mean, it's just really surprising to see him have the race he's having tonight.
Yeah, it really is. I expected him up here, but tough conditions, tough track. Right now, Ripka, like you said, has taken over the lead, and now Bruce has fallen to second, Person in third, and Ratliff is in the inevitable position of he has to get by these two before he can chase Ripka.
And this is not going to be easy, and don't forget, we do have Adam Recker in the background and George Leal in the background of this battle as well, trying to figure out how to get through it. And I believe that is a lap car also in this group that is trying to unlap themselves.
Yeah, so Stevie Knight. No, it's George Dibble. Nope. I'll find out who it is at some point here.
James Bray. So James Bray, who pitted, was the last guy to come in. So he does have fresher tires by 8 laps. So he is probably faster than these guys, and he probably desperately wants to get back on the lead lap or get one of his 2 laps back. So a lot of stuff going on here, but man, it is getting tight in here. Even Klaus Williams is getting back up in this battle.
Well, that's someone I wanted to bring up here. Klaus, another guy who's kind of known to go up top, not doing it. It's it's a little odd to me, but not from running some practice, not that surprising. The guys are not choosing to move up the track. The car just gets a little too wicked here for some reason with this setup tonight. Williams, though, doing all right. He's down 4 from his starting spot, but I think he's really solidified this 7th place position, and he'll see if he can improve. Out front, Ripka opening up a small lead now over Bruce. You'll see Ratliff's gotten around Person and now sets his sight on Bruce. What does Ratliff have to do here, Justin? I mean, is it like get by Bruce at all costs as quick as possible?
You know, I'm not too familiar with Bruce, but I'd have to say that as earlier, just being a little patient, you know, not trying to push it too hard, seeing if you can actually get underneath them and hold them off for a little bit, and you know, just play some games, you know, just to kind of get him to mess up, kind of get him to push his car a little bit more, wear those tires out. I think if he could do that, I think he'd have a better chance of getting by without ruining his gear. Well, in the process.
You're speaking my language now, Justin. Playing games, you know, filling those mirrors up, kind of moving around a little bit, getting up on that bumper, disturbing that air. Jared, how effective can that be, disturbing the air on the guy in front of you?
Oh, it's massive. I mean, these cars with this setup, I mean, the Chicagoland setup, you know, is built for the daytime, so it's probably why they're having a lot of different issues running the nighttime. But, I mean, you get up on somebody, and Darren Bruce flying back on the outside there of Greg Ratliff. Dean, he is not making it easy. And Buckshot Ripka just loving this, just increasing that gap right there and putting money in my piggy bank because I bet on him, obviously, here tonight.
Well, Bruce is one of the few who's even took to the high side, and you can just see the massive run he gets down the straightaway. And you're right, he is putting it to Greg Ratliff here. This is possibly hurting them both. Buckshot loving it. He's walking away from these guys. And there you go. Bruce is solidified. He's found something up there.
And that's the thing, is the bottom is viable, but you have to make quick work of the guys there. Now we're starting to get into this period, Dean. I mean, about 30 laps into this run, the tires have equalized. The advantage that Greg Ratliff had, the advantage that Lance Ripka had, is gone. So now you're stuck. Ripka got through all that, so he's able to increase his gap, whereas Ratliff has not been able to, and now you're seeing the dividends pay off there.
Yeah, well, with these tires equalizing and whatnot, Justin, we look forward now. You know, we're approaching pit stop time. What do you do here with what we've seen? You know, is the long still the way to go here? You see one guy's success, the other guy getting trapped here in third.
You know, I think for a few people, some of that is paid off, short pitting. But it's one of those things, how well they actually drive their cars. How patient are they? How are they taking the high line? Are they taking the low line? You know, what's the handling characteristics right now for some of these guys? It looks like Bernard, he's fallen back a little bit, but he's actually holding his own. So I think, like you're saying, the tires have normalized, and we're starting to see everybody kind of normalizing their lap times as well. So I think with some guys, especially Bernard, I think he might probably just try to keep up with everybody else as far as the leaders and follow along with them.
Yeah, there's some great points there for sure about, you know, how you drive your car, where you drive your car. We see Bruce looks like he's coming in, Ratliff coming in as well, so they're going to try the short pit here. And this is an interesting call from these guys. Person also right there. So those three come in. Paul K comes in. Ripka stays out again. I mean, I don't think we'll see anything different out of Ripka. He'll probably stay out another 4 or 5 laps here. You know, he's pretty confident in what he's doing. Wrecker's still on the track. You got Williams in 4th. Newton's made his way up to, well, what is 4th right now? And there is Maurer. Then you got Beller. I mean, is this all pit stops? It must be. I mean, because Beller was back around 20th just moments ago. So Newton comes in here in that beautiful AC Delco machine. He'll relinquish his spot in 4th. But Ripka still out on the track.
I think Ripka's probably going to head in this lap, but Dean, this is going to play beautifully into his hands. I think he's going to continue to increase that gap because he's going to have another 2-lap advantage on these guys. He is coming in.
Yeah, here he comes down pit road. Very solid entrance. You see he's fighting that car a little bit as we were on board with him due to the call from Mr. Jared Carr.
Klaus Williams follows him in, Adam Newton and Nathan Maurer. Slow stops for both of those guys as Newton finally down the way.
So Adam Wrecker, your new race leader. And I like what I've seen from Wrecker, and I like what he's doing here. He's going with the overcut. How much is too much, Jared? He's coming
Let's see. Well, I would have gone another lap where he's at.
Yeah,
I think.
Ooh, and he is, wow, he's loose, and he avoids Tony Ratliff, who was sitting sideways on pit road. Great driving from the 11, Adam Wrecker.
That was a good save. It might cost him a few seconds in time trying to catch that, but I think he did a good job.
Better than
keeping
losing your race, isn't it, Justin?
No, definitely.
It was a great job.
There was a lot going on there. I mean, we had Tony Ratliff, spinning on pit road. We also had somebody that missed pit road completely, Dean, and they were in the grass. We're lucky we didn't have a caution there. And I'm trying to find out who that was.
Ripka. Something's up with Ripka. I'm not sure, but Ripka is looking awful slow by the start-finish line. Something has happened to Lance Ripka. We're going to get a replay and see. So your race leader, prior to pit stops, he has got Leo. He breaks loose on the bottom, and he comes around towards the pit stop area. That's who was in the grass, Jared. Well, I don't think he made it to the grass, but the 52 spun around the Geico area. Wow, this whole race is flipped on its head.
Yeah, and that was actually the second one I saw, but the first one was actually Odi Vianney. He did the same exact thing, and he was trying to pass somebody on the high side, got loose, and went right through the grass. So, yeah, I mean, this race is getting crazy.
It is getting crazy. Justin, the dangers of pitting, not only during pits, but after pits. You come out on freshies. They can be dangerous, can't they?
Oh, they sure can. And especially, we were talking about the high line and what that could do to you. I think if you run up there too long, and you try to come down low, or you're challenging somebody else, or they're challenging you, and you find yourself in the low line, you're trying to hold them off. You can find your car getting a little loose down at the bottom if you're got your car conditioned to be up at the high line.
Man, what else have we missed? Darren Bruce showing in 27th position. What has happened?
Darren sped. That was another thing I was getting to there, Dean. Sped on pit road. I'm not sure if it was entry or exit, but he had a 1:18 pit stop. Tough break for Darren Bruce.
This is incredible what's going on out here. So Bernard Persson, the leader from pit stops. Beller, the leader on the track. Hartwick in second. Ricky Williams third. They have to pit. Then you got Persson, Ratliff about a second behind him. Let's check our pit board. And we're going to see both of them on lap 70. So equal tires, equal fight. We're missing a couple of our competitors, but the race is still on. Justin, craziness ensues late in races, doesn't it?
Oh, it sure does, and especially around the end and with pit stops, you really see people try to fight their way up with strategy and cutting it close with pushing their car to the end. Yeah, you can see a lot of craziness.
We check in on the 19. Let's see how the 19 is doing out here. If I can find them. I don't know if we have a 19 out here.
Beller is coming on pit road, Dean.
So Beller coming in the 4 machine. He relinquishes the lead.
19's Todd Gilly.
Oh, the Toad Man! My bad. The Toad. How could I forget Todd the Toad Man Gilly out here? He is riding in 17th. Wow. Yeah, I tell people all the time I'm getting old, Jared.
Unbelievable.
I know. I'm not gonna get paid.
Yeah. We got Dean. I was looking at the chat
too. We had Musial. Go ahead, Jared. Sorry.
I was just checking at the chat, Dean. I don't think we've gotten our chat guys involved yet tonight, but we did have Subi Drifts out there. Just I think it was not too much before that talk about rooting for Todd Gilly in the 19 machine. We got Garrett Kendrick rooting for Michael Odiviani, who's kind of had an up and down night, and we also had Callie out here rooting for the number 38 machine of Jacob Musial.
Yeah, Odiviani currently in 18th position. He looks like he's found his feel for this track. Beautiful car, that Coors Light machine. So the 77 starting to work his way forward. And Musial, in 23rd position right now, but a solid night nonetheless. I mean, he's basically right where he started. He's been clean. I look for someone like Jacob, Jared. When we get around to next season, the experience that he logs, he turns a lot of laps. He's getting a lot of time out here, and it'll pay dividends next season, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he'll be a guy that will take a step forward, and you'll see him competing in the top 10, this year. But I think he's playing it smart, right? If you're not sure what to expect in the races, don't try to go up there and be something you're not. Just ride around, log the laps, let the car come to you, maybe do some strategy stuff and see where things play out for you. And I think he's done a really good job of that this year, and I look for Jacob to make a big step next year.
So our top 3 have shaken up a bit. Person leading. He's opened up a bit of a gap to Greg Ratliff, about 2 seconds. You got Leal currently in 3rd position. Now he was fighting around 7th. He's made some progress. It's Record now, the chaser. He's in 4th. A little fresher tire. We'll see if he can come in. Claus Williams now in 5th position. Newton, through some attrition and good driving, he's picked up 8 spots. Paul K. Travis into 7th. Here comes Maurer underneath Travis. Maurer's up 15 spots on the night. He's our big mover out here. Finish out our top 10. Ripka hanging around in 9th. Very unfortunate for him. And William Gay on his return. He's got Jason Spear all over his rear end looking for the top 10.
Dean, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be the commentator curse, but I think tonight we're going to have a really shake-up race in terms of winners here tonight.
Yeah, it's been a shake-up kind of race here already, so very interesting. Person looking very good. I had a feeling about how these corners rolled. Someone like Bernie might get up here and do well. He is opening up further this gap. We're down to 22 to go. Justin, when does Greg have to throw caution into the wind and forget about the tires?
Well, I think that's going to play more into, probably 5 to 10 laps to go. If he starts now, I think he'll regret it in probably a couple laps.
Well, I agree with you on some point, but he's running out of options. He's lost another couple of tenths here. He's down to almost 3 seconds now. And here comes Leo looking to maybe get that spot from him. So Person putting it on him right now. Record still sitting there. This has become so interesting. I can't believe the carnage we've seen out there.
Yeah, 2.7 is what Ratliff is back to Bernard Person, 2.69. I do like Adam Recker. He is about 2 tenths quicker than our leader, 4 tenths quicker than Leo. I think he'll get to Leo pretty quickly. But is he going to have enough laps to get the job done? That's where the question is for Recker. He's got the freshest tires out of everybody in the top 10. But I do wonder if he's going to run out of time, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, time clicking away, 19 laps remaining. You see Preston O'Brien making a move on Otto Viani. That's a move for 17th. So Preston making his name known a little bit out here, making some moves. He's up a couple of spots. Back up front, I mean, Person riding there. He's got the 22 of Michael Walker kind of riding with him. I imagine Michael's got some fresher rubber, and he's up here. He is a lap down, but he's right there. I mean, he's the lucky dog right now, and he might be thinking, hey, I'd like to get my lap back. He may come up here and disturb Person a little bit.
Yeah, I'm watching these guys. I'm watching Lance Ripka. And Dean, we talk about it. One mistake is all it takes to change the race. And you didn't expect it from Lance Ripka tonight, but I mean that did. It changed the race. For him and Darren.
I can only speak for myself. I've made these mistakes, I don't know, a couple of 100 times now. You think I would learn, but no. It's tough. I mean, when you get a race like this with no cautions, you're talking about an hour and a half straight of sheer focus, no mistakes. It is tough, is it not, Mr. Warner?
Oh, it is very tough, especially those races that just go green. You're hoping for something that never comes, and you could just be left in the dust.
Yeah, you very well could. You see Ratliff starting to come back a little bit here. He's picked up maybe a 10th over the last couple of laps. Leal still in it, but here comes Wrecker. Wrecker underneath Leal now. This is a battle for third spot. The 11 powers on through. So Adam Wrecker with the long pit here. Strategy, a little, about 3 laps fresher, I'm going to guess, for the 11. So he's coming, but he is running out of time.
Yeah, we got 2.6. Ratliff, that gap to Ratliff is steadied, and Ratliff is on the same tires. So I think that Ratliff is probably not going to be able to make up 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds on Bernard Person. But Wrecker is going to be the wild card in this situation, Dean. I mean, he's got to get around Ratliff, which is not going to be an easy feat. But, I look at this, and I think one of these guys, there's going to be a guy out here that's going to get a win tonight that you're just kind of like, wow. So I think it's going to be a great race.
Person, we talk about winning and how that breeds winning, gets your confidence up. Person just grab a win. Now, you'll forgive me, I'm not sure which series it was, but whether it was this one or the truck series, but in the last laps, he was challenged, Jared, and he did a little door bang. He said, nobody's passing me. I'm taking it. And I think if Wrecker gets up there, he'd have to deal with that as well.
Yeah, Bernard Person hasn't. There's 3 drivers in the top 10 in points that have not won yet this year, and that is Adam Wrecker, Bernard Person, and Jason Spear. And you wondered last week if it was going to be Wrecker that could get it done. He lost late. Is Bernard Person going to be somebody that loses late in this race? I don't think so. I mean, we're down to 13 laps to go, but you never know. A caution could come out, change the whole race.
Battle back here, and our leaders coming up on this battle. You got Zach Hartwick and Adam Kulikowski going at it. Preston O'Brien right in there as well. Otto Viani right in front of these guys. So a little 4-car battle here for about 17th. And Bernard Person is going to come up on these guys sooner than later.
I think it's crazy, Dean. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I mean, they've lapped up pretty far in this race. So that's pretty impressive for those leaders to have lapped up to 20th place already, and maybe more counting.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the information guy, Jared. I mean, this track, what's the length on this track? Quite a big track to be lapping that many people.
Yeah, it's 1.5 miles. Standard. It's a standard track. The difference that makes Chicagoland unique is the backstretch has a curve to it, which you don't have at any other track, really.
Yeah, a little bit more interesting, but truly that standard 1.5 track, very hard to lap a bunch of guys, but we are under green flag conditions. Up front, Person still holding. Ratliff not making up ground. He's 2.6 back. Wrecker now closing in, but we're coming down to 10 to go. I mean, it is... anything can and will happen is what I always say, Justin. So, hold your breath here. We're not done yet. And that's something you have to keep in mind at all times, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And I think the real battle that we're going to have to see and watch here is probably going to be between Leal, Wrecker, and Ratliff.
Yeah, Leal's still in this thing too. I mean, Leal a little older tires than Wrecker, but these three are going to come together. And I don't think they're going to be allowed to get up to Person. Can Person stay controlled? I mean, this is a vet we're talking about, Jared. He may not have won in this series, but he's got wins under his belts. You don't expect a mistake out of the 8 right now, do you?
No, I think Bernard is the thing that he doesn't want. I don't think you're going to see him, take himself out of this race. There's a couple issues that are going to circle your head. First off, you have a 3-way battle for position in front of you. These guys aren't going to roll over just because you're the leader and let you go, because they are battling for points. They're battling for pride back here for 18th position, 17th position. That's going to be a problem, and it's going to be difficult. You don't want to get yourself in a bad spot if you're Bernard Person. The second thing that is really out of your control is a caution. You don't want a caution at this point because the strategy is thrown out the window, and you're going to have a last 6-7 lap shootout to finish this race, and that's not going to be something Bernard Person wants to be involved in, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we're on board with Person here. You can see right in front of him, Justin, this is trouble. These guys in front of him are battling. They're not just running. He's going to come up on here. This could be interesting.
Oh, definitely. You get those lap cars battling. They're not paying attention to who's behind them so much, and it could be trouble for the leaders, especially trying to get around these guys and stay ahead.
And you can see him staying on the bottom. I love that here for the way this car is set up tonight. He's been down there all night. Can he get underneath as Kulikowski and Preston O'Brien battle in front of him? There's nowhere to go. This is really going to be painful for him if he can't get through here. Kulikowski, though, looks like he gets through. Looks like Person awful close there. My goodness.
If I'm Bernard Person, I would just manage the gap. I wouldn't even try to really force the issue on these guys. You put them a lap down, right? But, don't get yourself to... Oh, my goodness!
Boy, oh,
don't
boy.
do that!
Don't do that! Wow! I mean, he got through. He is alive. He is safe, but with 5 to go, he almost threw it away there.
Oh, definitely. He had nearly 3-second gap, and he could have taken a breath and paced him a little bit and waited for an opening a little bit. Seeing the fact that there's only 5 laps to go, I don't think he's going to have much of a problem, but, getting caught up in lap traffic could be a little sketchy.
My heart, Justin. I mean, it can't take it. So Person's... Go ahead, Jared.
Well, something I was watching too, Dean. I mean, now Bernard Person pretty well out of traffic now. I'm watching Adam Wrecker. He is there on Greg Ratliff. I don't know if he'll have enough time to make a move here, but that is one battle we could see happen here at the last few laps. Everybody else pretty well spread out. We do have that little bit of a battle between Eric Beller and Corey Martin that's just it's going to be too far ahead of Bernard Person to be any kind of influence on the end of this race, but that is about 14th. But otherwise, everybody else pretty strung out. Also, Todd Gilly in that battle, so a 3-way battle for 14th right now.
See, we hop on board with Gilly there. There is that battle. We're on 3 to go for race leader Bernard Person. He has got this thing. If he can just stay out of trouble, my goodness, almost gave me a heart attack just moments ago.
Bernard was not throwing it. I was throwing caution to win. He was getting by those guys one way or another. As you see, now we got a double pass. Gilly going on Martin, Beller going on Jason Ratliff. Both those for position here. That's for 13th and 15th right now.
Yeah, Beller moving up, Gilly moving up. Martin hit the wall, and he hits it again. I mean, Gilly is getting all kinds of trouble from Martin. Martin racing hard here for 15th. I don't blame him, but he's hit the wall twice. That's got to give Gilly a little pause. And there he clears him, but does he get ran over? Oh, almost contact. I almost can't watch. Let's go back up front. And the final laps, it's Bernard Person coming out of the corner. He's got one more turn for the 8 to be crowned champion here at Chicagoland. Bernie through 3. He's got Otto Viani up in front of him. Through 4 he goes. The 8 will win the Chicagoland 160. It'll be Ratliff coming home in second. Wrecker right behind in third. Leal in fourth. And Klaus Williams will round out your top 5. Wow, this race had a little bit of everything here tonight, Jared.
Yeah, it did. I think we expected this race to turn out differently. I think Bernard Persson was always a player in this race, right, Dean? But I don't think we expected him to win.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was a player. He was up there with Bruce, if you remember, early, but you had Ratliff and Ripka seemed to have things sorted out on the long run. But, Ripka had his problems, but Ratliff really didn't. And he just, he was outdrove or outwitted by the 8 here tonight. So Bernie, he's spinning them up. Boy, is he happy. Justin, I know Bernie. You got to be a little bit happy for Bernard Persson here.
Oh, definitely. And, I had a good feeling that he would make his way up front. And good to see that he got the win. And just to show you with strategy and patience, you can definitely get ahead, and he proved that.
Well, look at this too, Jared. The dog walking standard has been set here in RGR, and Bernie says, hey, I've been in victory lane, but look at me, I can do this too, and he does a pretty nice job there.
Not bad at all. Congrats to him. I mean, that's got to be a big weight off his shoulders, Dean. Marks off the donut, the win column for him.
Yeah, definitely. He's just blown the engine there doing that burnout. Let's take a quick look in on our results here. You got the top 5 we talked about with Leal and Williams in 4th and 5th. And you got Newton comes home in 6th, a solid night for him. Ripka, that unfortunate incident will bring him to 7th. Maurer, Travis, and Gay round out the top 10. Spear and Lester up to 12th. You got Beller, Jason Ratliff, Corey Martin, Gilly, Hartwick, Otto Viani, Kulikowski, and you can see all the rest of your favorite drivers, some with good nights and some like Darren Bruce, it just did not go their way tonight.
Yeah, really great race, and Greg Ratliff is going to extend that point lead over the rest of the field. And, Dean, we look ahead, it's going to be a season where we're just going to be seeing how these races turn out, because I think Greg Ratliff is going to be hard to catch in the championship.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We'll get to those points in a little bit. Right now, let's take a commercial break. We'll come back. We'll talk championship points and get some race interviews in. At those new Mustangs. My goodness, the sounds coming out of those things, Justin, they're beautiful, aren't they?
Oh, definitely.
Jared, I mean, this race, we talked a lot about it. It's just, I love this thing when you go green, strategy comes into play, but it's almost like the old school. You remember when you had guys overheating themselves in the cars back in the day,
Yeah.
coming out all beat out. Some engines would give way, something else would happen on pit road to someone. We kind of seen that here tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a throwback race and a really good race, and good to see Bernard Person get that goose egg out of his the wins and get a win, a well deserved win, Dean. And this is a race that was an example of do not beat yourself, beat the competition, race the racetrack. Do not beat yourself, because once you beat yourself, it's hard to recover from that. We saw, you know, some guys early on have some issues, but then we had Ripka and Bruce on those pit stops. Both of them had issues, either right after or during the pit stop, that basically cost them a chance at winning this race and took themselves out of this competition, Dean. And, Bernard Person, on the other hand, he took advantage of that situation, got on and off pit road half a second quicker than Greg Ratliff, and that was the difference. He was able to get through the lap traffic a little bit better and won this race going away.
And a little better, a little more dangerous too, I might add. The little heart stopping moment there late in the race. But right now, I want to turn our attention to Mr. Adam Wrecker, the number 11, coming home in third. A very solid run, Adam, and some good strategy there. Just wasn't quite enough there at the end, Adam.
I really got lucky with Darren and Lance spinning out or whatever happened. But no, overall, it was a good run. I kind of shot myself in the foot. I pitted 2 laps after Greg and Bernie, and I just burned my stuff up trying to catch up to them. But I mean, hey, can't complain. Third place, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. So, Adam, something I noticed out there, guys are running the bottom very consistently. I did a little runs myself and kind of did the same thing. What made the high line so tough here tonight?
Um, I think when I started running the high line, it just got loose a little bit. I was trying to run it in practice, but every time I ran it, you were just obviously getting blown by on the bottom. But I think you're just getting loose and saving tires. I mean, tires were critical on the race because they burned up real quick.
They did, and obviously there was no chance at a one-stop race here. So when you thought about your pit strategy, what were you thinking? Was it like, is this an automatic go long situation, or you just winging it as you went along?
I was gonna go long the first round, but once everybody started pitting, it was like once one person pits, you have to pit because you're just gonna fall behind. And then the last pit stop, I was gonna try to pit, but I got held up with some lap traffic, and I just wanted to get another bonus point for leaving the lap. But hey, it's all good.
Definitely all good. You've been all good lately, Adam, and always really, but starting to show yourself consistently up in the top 3. We're going to get you in victory lane. I can't wait, Adam, for that. Sure, it wouldn't be your first victory, but get you back there. Tonight, it's third place. Congratulations. We'll give you the mic. Anybody you want to thank or shout out, brother?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I'd like to shout out to y'all. I mean, you guys do a great job every night, calling a great race. Always watch it after the race just to listen to the commentary. But no, thank you guys. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate the league too, because I mean, I think the last 3 races we went caution free. So I mean, it's a great group of people to race with. And then my teammates, everybody, Greg, always helping me out. So yeah, but appreciate everybody.
Yeah, you heard it, Jared. I mean, our third place finisher, awesome league, green flag racing. Man, it's a war of attrition out there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, Adam Ratliff did Adam Ratliff, wow. Apologies. Adam Wrecker did a great job keeping his composure, getting that car going tonight, Dean. And I'm down here with Greg Ratliff, the second place finisher. Greg, great run here tonight, man.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, so you started on the pole, led some laps. I think you led 1 lap, and then Darren Bruce comes flying by you there. Were you just trying to save your stuff there in that first stint, or did you think that you had, a race on your hand there?
I was just playing it safe, and I was thinking long run. That I didn't want to push it any harder. So I thought we'd just let Darren go, and I just crossed my fingers that I'd be able to get back to him later.
Well, you were able to get back up there, get those positions back, took the lead. You pitted a little bit earlier. Ripka stayed out long, and then in that second group of running, you came out ahead of Ripka, and then you got kind of caught up with some lap traffic. Ripka was able to get through it, increase that lead way out there. Did you just find that second set of tires just wasn't working as well as the first set, or did you just get caught in the wrong spot the wrong time?
Right there, I probably got caught in the wrong spot at the wrong at the wrong time, right time for everybody else. But yeah, I just had to kind of ease my way through there, and I think by the end of the race, everybody would step their game up. I don't know if I was slower. I felt like I was running the same pace, but it's hard to tell.
Well, yeah, you definitely aren't wrong. I mean, everybody did bring their A game in that last little pit stop, the last little bit of that race. And let's talk about that. You came in ahead of Bernard Person, and you came out behind him. Did you just have a little bit of issue in your pit box? I mean, it seemed like the race was won and lost on pit road here tonight.
Yeah, just probably being overcautious. I know a couple guys had already gotten speeding penalties, and I tell you, it's a Chicagoland. It's a tricky pit road entrance, in my opinion, and I probably just being careful. Maybe thinking points racing, maybe.
Well, Greg, that points lead is getting pretty big. I mean, you've had such a great season. We move on to Pocono next week. I mean, do you think that that's a track that you're going to be able to go out there and run your typical race where you're conservative and let the car kind of come to you, or are you going to have to be aggressive at Pocono?
Well, with this group here, you'll have to find some middle ground there with aggressive and letting it come to you. I've had some good runs at Pocono. It's been a while since I've been there, so we'll just have to wait and see. I do like that track.
Well, Greg, you had a great race here tonight, man. Another solid finish. I mean, you've been racking these solid finishes up all season long, so congrats to you on that. I'm going to turn the mic over to you. You have the last word on your race here tonight.
Yeah, I just want to thank the Wind Tunnel TV, all my friends and brothers at RGR, the league, and Affordable Construction Services that sponsors our truck racing on Thursday nights, and just all the drivers in the league that make this green flag racing possible. It's just unbelievable what we've got here.
For sure. Well, Dean, that was Greg Ratliff, a runner-up finish here tonight, but extends that points lead over second place.
Yeah, he's doing such a great job, and maybe a little points race in there, but maybe it was the 8 being a little bit faster. That's Bernard Person down in victory lane. Congratulations, Bernie. Your second win in a couple of weeks. First here in the Xfinity Series. Congrats, brother.
Thanks, Dean. Yeah, it's good to be in victory lane again and getting interviewed by you.
Well, man, you talked a little bit about it earlier. You wanted to talk to Jared here tonight, so I'm going to bring Jared in momentarily, and I'm also going to bring a friend of yours in to ask a question. But Bernie, first, I just want to know, what was it? I mean, it seemed like, you were looking at third place, maybe second, maybe fourth. I mean, I know there's a little bit of bad luck for Lance or whatever happened to him, but you beat Greg, you beat Wrecker. I mean, you were very good late in this race.
I think the main thing at Chicago is you don't want to beat yourself. You want to race your race and let everything fall out the way it falls out.
All right, let's bring in Justin Warner, friend of Mr. Bernard Person. Justin, you got a question for Mr. Bernard Person?
Well, sure. I noticed, Bernie, that halfway through the race, it almost looked like some of your pit strategies there might have worked against you, and you started falling a couple spots back. What were you going through? What were you thinking at that time?
Well, I know earlier I said I wanted to pit on lap either 35 or 36. And I guess somebody's mentioned they were going to pit early, so I pitted the next time by with everybody else. Maybe not hit my marks that good coming into first, time. I know the second time I hit it pretty well and was able to get a couple spots coming out. It's just, with everybody in this league, with all the drivers, so competitive. It's really hard to keep up with them sometimes. You just gotta maintain and keep the car clean, and tires is what I feel was really important too.
Did you have to change your strategy after that point, or did you just keep going the way you were?
I was gonna keep going the way I was going, and I said to myself on that last segment, I was like, I'm just going to hit that pit road as hard as I could because I knew where to start hitting the brakes. And I caught right up to them, and I was able to get in and get out. And pitting is not my strong part, but I've been practicing a lot on that. And I was able to get in front of Greg, and I think Darren got either sped on pit road or something happened, but I was able to get in front of Greg, and I just put the metal to the pedal and just kept going.
Jared, you heard some of this from Bernard Person. I'll turn the mic over to you for a question for our winner tonight.
Well, Bernie, congratulations grabbing that win. I mean, your first of the season in this Xfinity Series. I was noticing your pitch strategy was pretty much, I know Justin kind of touched on this. You did 35, you did 35. At the end there, you talked about your practicing getting on and off pit road really well. You came on at the same time as Greg Ratliff, but you were almost 0.6 of a second quicker than him on the in lap, and about almost a second quicker than him on the out lap. What was the key there? I mean, was Greg just being that conservative? Because I just don't believe that he was being that conservative.
Well, like I was saying to Justin, my least strong point is pitting, but I've been practicing a lot, and what I've been noticing is when I take off, I'm like just flooring it. What I've been doing now is just letting the car, once it gets grip, I go. And I think that's where I've been picking up a lot of time exiting pit road.
Man, you hear these
You did a good
things,
job.
You hear these things, Jared, and it's something that another guy we broadcast with, Barron, always harps on: practice. It works, doesn't it, Jared?
Absolutely. And that's the difference in this race. Being able to overcome that kind of stuff and being prepared in the races.
Well, Bernie, you were prepared. You end up in victory lane. Try not to sip too much champagne. I know you can get a little carried away there in victory lane. But congrats, brother. Very, very happy to see you get this win. We'll give you the mic. Anybody you want to shout out or thank, you go right ahead.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you guys. It's always fun going back and watching the broadcast and listening to certain things maybe I could have done better. Jared, it's always great hearing your voice again and getting interviewed by you. Justin, you been around for a long time, and it's always learned a lot from you as well. Want to thank Wind Tunnel TV, all my teammates from Spears Motorsports, Jason, Adam, Darren, all the Spears brothers and nephews, and my sponsors. It's good to get Mama June's and Victory Lane, and of course the league. Todd made a really great league, and all these guys are so competitive, and it's like the top 20 is, you never know where you're going to finish.
Bernie, before you go, I got one last question for you that just came to mind. That was that late race, 5 laps to go. You come up on lap traffic. You kind of pushed it a little bit, almost got in trouble there. You give me a little heart attack. Was there any concerns there?
No, but sometimes, Dean, when you start falling back and not racing your race, sometimes you can get yourself in trouble. So I was just letting them do what they wanted to do. And if I had room, I was going to, I went.
All right, you heard it, folks. Bernard Person, if he had room, he was going to go. He did go. He went straight to victory lane. What a race here tonight. Great league, great turnout, which, always makes us happy, too. 32-car field taken to the track and going green. Jared, very impressive.
Yeah, impressive race. And like I said, we talked about earlier, I mean, there was about 3 or 4 guys that you thought were going to have a chance at this win. And Bernard Person was one of those guys, but it was such a ebb and flow race. The first opening stint, Darren Bruce dominated. Greg Ratliff took over at the end. Second stint, Greg Ratliff led, and then Lance Ripka took over. And that third stint, that's when the mistakes came down. When it came down to crunch time, 30 laps to go, who was making not making mistakes. And we saw Darren Bruce speed on his last pit stop. We saw Lance Ripka get loose and almost wreck the car. He saved it, but took himself out of competition because of that. And at the end of the day, Bernard Person was the guy that was able to just kind of be there at the end and took over at that last stint and walked home to a victory, Dean.
Yeah. Absolutely awesome. And practice, don't forget practice. Baron Labosco wants you to know practice pays off here tonight. A thrilling event. We hope we duplicate it next Sunday. Hope you'll come and join us for the RGR Racing League. But here from Chicagoland, for myself, Dean Doucette, for Mr. Jared Carr, and Mr. Justin Warner, a big shout out to him doing a great job joining us in the booth tonight. That'll wrap it up here from Chicagoland, and we'll see you right here